Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Market House, a podcast where we talk all things Disney. My name is Caleb, and I am the host of this show, and I just want to start off by saying I hope everyone had a great Christmas with family and friends, or whoever you chose to celebrate it with. I think it's, sad to see it come and go, but also nice to kind of look forward to the new year. And, I'm hoping 2022 which is so weird saying, by the way. I can't believe it's already the year 2022 here in the next couple weeks or the next week. But I hope it brings a lot of good things, like less COVID stuff. I hope we don't even have to say that word come summer of 22. And, hope it's more travel and more spending time with family and friends and all the good stuff in life and less about sickness and grossness. So hoping that same thing for you and your family and loved ones. And so let's just dive in here. In a week in recap, other than Christmas, my wife and I finally finished Hawkeye, which was a fantastic show on Disney Plus. If you haven't seen it already, if you're a Disney fan, I'm sure you already have, since it's the most popular thing since WandaVision. But it is a great show. Please see it. Haley Steinfeld is great in it, and Jeremy Renner, and just Florence Pugh is in it. Pugh, and I'm not sure how you pronounce her last name, but she's a fantastic actress, and just the whole cast is amazing. The show's great. It's only 6 episodes, so it's a kind of light commitment. It's not like you're committing to 15 episodes or something, but definitely worth a watch if you haven't already seen it. But enough about me yapping about random stuff. Let's go ahead and dive into that news. All right, first up we have the New Year's fireworks are confirmed for Disneyland. So it looks like Fantasy in the Sky is going to be returning to the parks for that New Year season. 2 show times are actually going to be available, one at 9 p.m. and another at 12 a.m. I almost said p.m., but that would mean noon, and that doesn't make any sense. So 9 p.m. and 12 a.m. are the 2 fireworks times, and so if you have little ones and want to celebrate a little early, you can do that at 9 p.m., celebrate that East Coast, midnight. So it's nice they give options. So if you're going to brave the parks for the New Year season, I personally have never done that, only because I hear how crazy it is and how busy it is. But again, if you are brave enough to go during that time, you've got some fun stuff coming your way. And it looks like countdown celebrations will also take place throughout the park. So they'll have some gathering places where you can watch the time tick down, however you say that. And when it hits the New Year's, you guys can celebrate. So looks like a fun time, but lucky for those folks that get to see that special fireworks show. Next up, we have not so fun news. It's not really, it's not like it's settled or anything, but it's, more of a negative, not so fun topic. So a Magic Key lawsuit was filed by a woman who filed a $5 million class action lawsuit against Disney for pretty much false advertising regarding the Dream Key. So I will kind of summarize what she has some grievances about, and that is she was sold a Dream Key, an annual pass that had unlimited visits, or no blockout dates. That's a better way of saying it. No blockout dates. I put those in quotations. But of course, that was dependent on reservation availability. So Disney said, if the park has reservations available, you are more than welcome to come, and you're not blocked out for any date. Her argument is that no, there is availability, but only for ticket holders. So you treat ticket holders as priority over pass holders. So she's claiming that that's truly not blockout dates, that you are blocking me out in a way and prioritizing ticket holders over pass holders. So I'm going to quote straight from the lawsuit here. The suit mentions she reasonably believed and relied upon Disney's advertisement and promise to mean that if Disney had capacity at its Anaheim parks, Miss Nielsen and her fellow Dream Key pass holders would be allowed to make reservations and visit the parks. Disney responded that we have been clear about the terms of the Magic Key product, and we know that many of our guests are enjoying the experiences these passes provide. She added, we will vigorously defend our position as the case proceeds. So that was a spokesperson for Disney with that quote there. And so I'm not sure if anything is going to come out of this. I know many folks have complaints about the passes. I am one included, not particularly the unlimited, the no blockout date, since I don't have that one. I have the one underneath that, the Believe key. I forget all the names. But there's problems with the system. I'm not sure she'll get too far with this one, only because it was, I would assume, in the fine print, and it was, I don't know, I understood for the most part what they were doing. The kicker there that I think that the court may possibly side with the Miss Nielsen is that they are treating ticket holders in a higher place. I don't know how to say this. They're prioritizing ticket holders over pass holders. That I don't think was explained anywhere within reason, right? Like, yes, you could have probably printed out the 15,000 page fine print document. Again, I know there's rules. I know in California specifically, they have to mention some terms like it has to be reasonable for someone to read these things. So I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I've not gotten my law degree, so I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen with this, but I think there's enough complaints and enough news coverage that this is maybe going to force Disney's hand to make some changes to the program. So keep an eye out for that and that Magic Key lawsuit. Next, we have some problems with the Oga's Cantina reservation system, and this is actually something I personally was affected by since we're going to the parks here in the next couple of weeks. But Disney unexpectedly canceled all reservations for Oga's Cantina for the dates January 1st through February 6th. No explanation whatsoever. I woke up to an email that said, "We are so sorry, due to a system thing, we have canceled your reservation for Oga's Cantina. Sorry about that." And I was like, okay, what does that mean? Like, what happened? Did I do something wrong? And on Twitter, everyone was saying the same thing. My thing was canceled. So at first, everyone thought it was some kind of error, like maybe a poor programmer or some poor guy at Disney HQ clicked a button on accident or did something and canceled a ton of reservations on accident. Some are believing that this has to be with a capacity restriction issue, with COVID kind of getting out of control in the U.S. again, that maybe they have to limit capacity in the restaurant, and that possibly they didn't want to have to pick and choose who got to keep the reservation and who had to cancel, so they just canceled everybody to make it fair. Not entirely sure. Disney hasn't backed that up. That's just someone hypothesizing on Twitter, but that is a possibility. But Disney did make this up by sending everyone a $25 gift card. So I'm not complaining too much because I still haven't experienced Oga's Cantina. I'm not in a giant rush for a few reasons. One, because I don't know, it looks fun and I've seen it on YouTube, so I know what to expect. So I don't know, it looks cool. Not enough for me to throw a fit about it. And second, it is a pretty small restaurant and I would rather not get sick at this moment. So I'm not too upset, and especially since they made it up with the $25 gift card. So that's a nice gesture. They didn't need to do that. So we did get it. They sent it in an email a few hours later, and now we're $25 richer for the park. So we will be enjoying a meal on Disney this upcoming trip. Our final news story has to do with a new store opening in downtown Disney. Looks like Love Pop, a 3D greeting card company, has opened a store in downtown Disney, and it does actually look really cool. So it's hard to explain. It's basically very intricate 3D art that pops up. So imagine your typical childhood books with the pop-up art, except this is like times 2, right? This is like very detailed pop-up art and a little more rugged, it looks like. So I can't imagine how much these cost. It's Disney, plus on top of that an item in Disney. So I don't know. These might be $25, $30 greeting cards. I've got no idea, but they are very cool. They've got Yoda ones. They've got whatever you can dream of. Monsters Inc., I'm sure, all these different Disney characters. So a very cool concept and fun to see new stores opening up in downtown Disney. This is actually located across from Black Tap. So if you know where that fun new burger joint is, you'll know where this is. So just go across the walkway there and you will find Love Pop. So that brings us to our main segment of this episode, and that is the top 5 hotels in Anaheim. So the Disneyland Resort area, what are the top 5 hotels in our humble opinion? And I will kind of lay up some ground rules here before we start, and that is the Disneyland resorts are excluded from this list because it's just not a very fair comparison, in my opinion. You've got a Disneyland Hotel competing with a Holiday Inn Express. You've got a Grand Californian Hotel, competing against a Marriott. So it's just not in the same ballpark, not even close to the same price point. You've got, the Paradise Pier Hotel, which it goes as low on crazy sale around in the mid $300 to $400 range. You can make a decent argument that does compete with surrounding hotels, but you jump up pretty fast when you go to Disneyland Hotel. You've got a $500 average, and the Grand Californian, $700, $800, $900, $1,000 is not unheard of for that hotel. So just not a giant. It's just not a fair comparison, in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and exclude those. And also, I am only including hotels I've personally stayed at. So I can't speak to the places or the properties that I haven't experienced myself. And another item of housekeeping is all prices mentioned are before taxes and fees. So those add up very quickly in Anaheim because they've got like a tourist tax. They've got, state and local tax. So I think it's state and city tax. You've got all kinds of a resort fee usually in some of these places of $7 or $10 a day for, I don't know, just a random reason because they can. Why not? So those do add up fast. So what starts off at $150 a night quickly turns to $170, $175 once you add those taxes and fees, maybe even $180. So just keep that in mind when you're hearing these things. And then also, this is just kind of a side note on my personality and how I like to travel. You'll notice that all of these are boring old chain hotels. So I rarely stay at boutique hotels and kind of little mom and pop places because I've got no idea what to expect. And when I go on vacation, I want to know what to expect in my sleeping arrangements. I'm a grumpy old man in a young body, or fairly young. I'm in my late 20s now. I'm starting to feel the creaks and joint pains of growing up, but I do like to kind of know what to expect. I like my sleep, I like my slumber and my rest, so I do take my sleeping seriously, and I want to know how I'm going to sleep that night. And so when you've got prior experiences at these chain hotels, you kind of know what to expect. So you'll notice that these are boring old run-of-the-mill, what you see on every corner in any city. So none of the, Candy Cane Inn, that looks like a fun place to stay. The Castle Inn and Suites, I have not stayed at any of those places. I know they've got a lot of character, and you definitely recognize them from the street, but I have not experienced them personally, so I won't be mentioning them here. And also, chain hotels offer what? Point systems, and I am a point freak, and that's how we travel a lot, is with points and combination of cash and points and just all that fun stuff. So usually little hotels don't offer that, and the big ones do, so that's why I like to stay there. So anyways, I'll stop rambling. Let's go ahead and dive into this list. Okay, starting at number 5, we have the Homewood Suites by Hilton Anaheim Main Gate area. That is a mouthful, but they've got a couple of Homewood Suites in the area, so they have to make them very unique with these long names to differentiate between the two. So this is the older property. This is the one down Harbor Boulevard. Actually, I think the address is actually Garden Grove, which is the neighboring city to Anaheim, but it's all right there, so it's all pretty close to each other. But yeah, this is the older one. So there's a new one that they made that's just about a mile away from the park. This one is actually a couple of miles, and I'll speak to that later. But again, just to specify, this is the older one. So some of the great things about this, the pros, is the price. This thing averages around $100 a night. So if you know Disney and you know Anaheim, that is a fantastic price. Of course, on really busy times, I'm sure it can get up to closer to 200 a night. All of these vary greatly. So just like any tourist spot, these can be as low as 100, which is probably the average for this hotel, $100, $120 a night. And then it can also spike to 250 if it's spring break or Christmas time. So just keep that in mind. So the average around 100. Big rooms. These things are all, again, in the name, Homewood Suites. They're all suites. So they all have, the smallest room you're going to get is a one-bedroom suite. So it's got a little family room, a little kitchen, and a bedroom. And a bathroom, of course. So they're larger than the average standard room in the area. And then I did mention a kitchen already, but they have a kitchen. So you've got a little stovetop there, a microwave, a fridge. So if you're going to be there for a extended period of time and you want to save some money, you can always order some groceries Amazon or Target and cook in the room. So if you don't want to spend $100 a meal in the parks, you can totally go the frugal budget route and cook in your room. So that's an option at this hotel. And also they offer free breakfast down in the lobby. Some of the cons for this location are the location itself. So I kind of teased it up there. This is almost 2 miles from the park. So it's a good 35 to 40 minute walk. And I know the last thing you want to do after finishing a long day at the theme parks is walk another 2 miles. So that is one con for this location. But they do offer a bus transportation system, shuttle, there it is, a shuttle. But, that's added cost. I know it can be anywhere from $5 to $7 a person per day. So that adds up as well. So then you have to build that into the price of the hotel in general. So you're like, am I even saving money buying this shuttle for everyone, or should I just get a hotel closer to the action? So I totally understand if that's kind of your thought process and you want to stay closer, but this is a decent spot if you want to save some cash. You don't mind walking a little, and you don't mind that it's a little older hotel. It's not old, it's not falling apart, but it is a little older. It's less shiny, less new than the locations up closer to the park. So keep that in mind, but this is a solid option if you want to save a little bit of cash. Next, at number 4, we have the Hyatt Regency, and this is a convention hotel located on Harbor Boulevard, and it's a giant hotel, but the layout that they chose for this property is very it makes the large size manageable. So you won't be walking a half mile just to get to your room. The way they did it, and it's actually a kind of interesting factoid. I learned this while I was there. It's a very unique build, and I will try to explain it, but it's best if you Google it and check it out online. But it's 2 separate buildings connected by one giant glass wall. So it's almost like a triangle. The 2 buildings meet up. They're kind of angled towards each other. And then you've got the lobby below those 2 buildings. And then you've got this giant glass wall that encloses the whole thing. And I learned that they actually were 2 separate hotels back in the day. And Hyatt ended up buying it or whatever, or whoever ended up purchasing it. And they made it into one hotel by just making the lobby a giant glass structure and kind of closing that all in. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. A little bit of history of the Hyatt Regency in Anaheim. But it's, again, technically located in Garden Grove. So if you look it up and you're like, well, it's not in Anaheim. It's, again, the neighboring city. The border's just right there. So, again, that kind of plays into the location, which I will talk about in a second. But let's talk about the pros of this property. The price. Again, this is the average is anywhere from $120, $150 a night on off-peak dates. If you go during a busy weekend, again, you can expect to spend maybe around $200 to $300 a night, just like any of the other crazy spikes in prices. But again, this averages on the lower end of the area. They just received renovated rooms. So one tower, I believe it's the South Tower, just experienced an extensive renovation of all the rooms, and that's actually where we stayed last time, and they are really, really nice. Really nice rooms. So a very good job. So the North Tower, I'm assuming, will be done sometime in the next few months. So if you want a renovated room, make sure to request it at the front desk. And I think you have to pay, like I paid an extra $6 a night or something stupid to receive one of the newer rooms. So it's not that much more. And also, there's a Starbucks in the lobby. So if you don't want to wait in those crazy Starbucks lines in the park, you can just grab your coffee in the lobby and go ahead and walk down to the park. The cons of this location, again, this one is almost 2 miles from the park as well. It's actually located just across the street from that Homewood Suites we mentioned earlier. Also, there's no free breakfast at this location because it's a convention hotel, and most of these spots charge for breakfast. They do have great options downstairs. They're restaurants, but it's going to cost you a couple of bucks, and by a couple of bucks, I mean probably a couple of tens. It's kind of expensive, but it actually is pretty good food. So that's another con, but you can always hit up maybe a fast food place on the way to the parks or eat in the park. And also, one last little gripe I have about the place is smaller bathrooms. So the room we were in was amazing, but the bathroom was a little small for the room. So again, a little thing, but if you have a few kids, then I would definitely request a room with a larger bathroom. Number 3 on the list is the Anaheim Marriott. This is another convention hotel that's located off of Harbor. Actually off of West Convention Way, which is just right off Harbor, and actually connects right with the convention center, hence the name. So this is a very, very popular spot for convention goers. So if D23 is in town, if BlizzCon, I think, is another big one, Comic-Con, any of the big conferences in the area, this hotel will be insanely busy and also insanely expensive. So that's my kind of warning for this property. But if a convention is not happening or a smaller one's going on, this is a very good option to stay in. And this is very close to Disney, or fairly close to Disney, but very close to the convention center. So again, if you are maybe attending a work thing while you're visiting the parks, this is a fantastic location then for you. Some of the pros of this place is it's a very nice hotel, and it's kind of on the fancier side. The decor is fancier, I would say, than the average hotel. Its location to both the convention center and to Disneyland is a fantastic thing. It's only about a mile away from the parks, so I don't know, 15-minute walk or so, which is not bad at all. And this also has balconies in the rooms with amazing views, so you can get a park view. You can see the fireworks from this hotel, which is awesome. And again, just having a balcony is nice. And finally, they have a really, really cool pool area, and definitely a cool option for the kids. The cons of this place is its price. It is expensive. On even off-peak times, it's $200 to $300 a night, easy. When a convention's in town, you can, these even $600-700 is not crazy to see, which is crazy expensive. So keep an eye out for that, and don't expect low prices when those are in town. But it's on the pricier side of things, especially since it's a mile away. But I think it makes up for it with the niceness of the hotel, the fanciness of it. The rooms are really nice. And again, the lobby's nice. Just the feel of the hotel is on the fancier side of things. No free breakfast at this location. Again, another convention hotel means no free breakfast. And again, it's a little more grown-up feeling. So I've been speaking about the fanciness of this and the work aspect of this. There's a lot of work people walking around, a lot of business folk with their briefcases and their important documents and their laptops and their fancy suits. So, it's kind of stuffy maybe a little bit for a family. So if you've got little ones and they're screaming and whatever, they're excited to go to the park, you may get some weird looks from people because they're there for work and they're very serious people. So keep that in mind. But again, it's a very solid property if you've got some Marriott points to burn, or you find a good cash rate for this location. At number 2, we have the Hyatt Place on Harbor Boulevard. This is a smaller hotel, so we're kind of leaving the convention giant hotels and going to a smaller property. And this hotel is located right next to Ruth's Chris. So most folks see this when they're walking to the park from hotels, but there's a very pretty looking restaurant, Ruth's Chris, big glass windows, big old fountain in the middle of the restaurant. You can't miss it right there. And then right next door is this Hyatt Place. And it's kind of my definition of a Hyatt Place is pretty much just no frills, solid place to sleep. So nothing fancy. It's not bad. It's not great. It's just right in the middle of I know what to expect. I've got a very clean room. There's not fancy decorations or anything. It's just very solid lobby. Again, it's just a solid, like, I would say a half step up from Holiday Inn Express, if that makes sense. So it's a little nicer than the Holiday Inn, also not a, Motel 6. So it's a solid location, solid property, and I've stayed at a lot of these all over the country, and they always deliver just a very, again, no crazy hiccups or anything, right? So there's nothing crazy impressing me. There's also nothing that's crazy upsetting me. So this is what the Hyatt place is wrapped up in a nutshell for me. But the pros of this location, it is only 1 mile away from Disneyland. So again, a 15-minute walk tops from this hotel. Experience is consistent. So again, like I said before, you know what to expect when you go to this hotel. It's just solid. You should experience just a solid stay every single time. You get free breakfast at this location, and you have large room options for families. So they offer rooms with like bunk beds, a couple of queens, so you can fit a solid. You got mom and dad, you got a couple of kids in one bed. I was always the one that had to share with my brother, and I hated it. But he would turn horizontal in the bed somehow in the middle of the night. So I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and have to lift him up and straighten him out there because sleeping was hard for him, and he wanted to move around, I guess. So anyways, so they've got larger rooms, so you don't have to share beds, and you can rock the bunk bed. So the cons for the pros. I'm going to still stick with the pros here. It's kind of a pro and a con. It's right in the middle of price range. So it's around $200 a night solid throughout the year. So again, you can have these crazy spikes, but it will always settle back down around $200 a night before taxes and fees. So kind of right in the middle of the ballpark with all the other properties in the area. And let's move to cons, which I don't really have any. It's kind of hard to think of any, but if I had to choose one, it's boring. It's kind of a boring property. It's like there's no crazy Disney theming. There's no fun kid theming. There's no very fancy adult stuff like, I don't know, very fancy bar or whatever. It's just kind of boring. It's just there. So that's a con, I guess, for it. But again, if you want a solid night's rest, if you want to walk less than, a couple miles of the park, you just want a short walk, this is a decent spot. And our final location, our number one spot of the top 5 Anaheim area hotels goes to the Spring Hill Suites. Da-da! Yeah, this is the Spring Hill Suites right on the corner of Harbor Boulevard and Catella, and it's actually above a CVS. And I know that screams luxury, and you're like, wow, how do I stay there? I want to hear people shopping at 2 a.m. right below my feet, and that's not really the reality. I promise you, I wouldn't have put it here in that spot. Trust me on this one, but it is an awesome place to stay. There's a few Spring Hill Suites in the area, so don't try and not get confused, and you have to specifically look up Spring Hill Suites at Anaheim Resort / Convention Center. So that's the exact property. There's like 2 others, I believe. One's super far away on a totally different street, and I think there's another one down the road a little bit. But this is the one right on the corner of Harbor and Catella. And let me talk about the pros of this property. Its location, it is the closest of all the hotels mentioned at just over half a mile, so 10 to 15 minutes, and you are at the park. It is a very convenient location. Again, the closer you get to the park, the more expensive it gets. So you get a hotel right across the street, a good one, because there are a lot of hotels across the street, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but they are a little janky. They're a little dirtier, a little more motel-like, and those are still expensive because of the convenience factor. You start talking like a decent hotel, like there's a Marriott property over there right across the street. A Fairmont? Does that sound right? I don't know. No, that's not right. Anyways, there's a Marriott property, a decent one, right? Like a 2.5, 3-star, when you're talking star system, right across the street. And that sucker's like $400 to $500 a night easy because you walk right across the street, which is bonkers to me. But anyways, let's get back to the Spring Hill. It's a half a mile away, offers free breakfast, and this free breakfast station has a waffle making station, which is awesome. And it was my favorite part of the stay for my wife. She made waffles every morning, and just a simple waffle maker, which you can get at Target for $20, made the stay for my wife. So anyways, easy to please in that case. Nice rooms. They are very solid rooms. They're clean, they're solid, And yeah, nothing to complain about there. They have large room options for families, just like the Hyatt. And again, same thing. You can get a couple queens, a bunk bed, and fit a whole lot of people in there. And the smell. The lobby has a very unique smell. They pump some kind of perfume, whatever it is in there. I think it's patchouli or something. It smells amazing. So that's a pro, and I'm totally throwing it in there because I can. And finally, the cons of this place, the price. It is expensive. It's $300 to $500. Again, in this place, this is the worst offender of the price variation. You can sometimes get it in the mid to upper 200 a night, which is very rare, I would admit. So on an off week, a Tuesday through Thursday stay in January, you may get that. But most of the time it's 300 plus, and I've seen it as high as like 500 and something dollars, $600 a night. So this thing varies so wildly, I don't understand. And also, kind of going back to that CVS comment before, the area below, it's kind of hard to explain, but yes, the storefront of CVS is under this hotel. So some folks, some homeless folks like to sleep and stay near that CVS. Also, there's a bus stop right there that they like to hang out in. And, some maybe kind of rougher characters like to come by. But the entrance to the hotel is on the rear part of that building. So you're not entering and exiting near the CVS entrance. You just happen to be located above it. And there's no noise from it, I promise. But the entrance is far enough away to where you don't feel uncomfortable, in my opinion. So check it out on Google Maps. You can actually see the entrance and all that stuff. And if you're a little sketched out by it, definitely don't stay there. But the couple of times I've stayed there, I've had no problem with it. So that wraps up the list. So Spring Hill Suites takes that top spot. Again, we didn't include Disneyland properties because that's just not fair. Waking up and walking into the park in 5 minutes does not compare to 15-minute walk and also double the price. So not a fair comparison, but anyways, that's our list. A bunch of chain hotels. I know this was riveting and exciting. Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, we covered all of them. We covered all the brands. So anyways, that wraps it up for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Follow us over on Instagram at Market House Podcast. We will see you next time and have a great week.